It's me, Pup. How are you doing? I, for one, am pretty excited. Through set photos, we very recently got our first look at the new Daredevil costume for Daredevil Born Again Season 3. And I gotta say, I think the Daredevil Born Again suits have been a step up from the Netflix ones for the most part. Netflix still has my favorite suits of the bunch because I just prefer the lightweight fabric suits. Yeah, they're less showy and they look less like a comic Daredevil, but they're just cool. Wasn't a fan of the padded armor suits in the Netflix era. They definitely improved it for Daredevil Born Again Season 1, before landing on the best version of the padded suit to date in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. The suit in that show just being the suit from Daredevil Born Again Season 1, spray painted in black, with the double D logo on the chest. Easily my favorite of the padded looks so far. I just think Daredevil looks better in black, and the choice of keeping the lenses and the logo red was great. I also love the way the suit evolved over time as well, the way the black of the suit started to chip away, revealing more of the red, and it did look kind of like old school comic shading. This suit was going to be a tough act to follow, but that being said, it wasn't perfect. I still prefer just a lightweight suit to these thick armors. It's just how I read this design from the comics. This suit is just very chunky. It looks like they've kind of taken that sort of generic MCU bodysuit and kind of built the Daredevil design on top of that, when I wish they would take the Season 1 look of Daredevil and build more of the comic elements of Daredevil's design into that instead. Use that as a base. Daredevil is nimble, he's ninja-like, he should be lightweight. Also, this weird metal thing going across the collarbones. It's really weird because under certain lighting conditions, this stands out just as much as the double Ds on the chest. I know what I'm saying there, by the way, and I don't fucking care! And the MCU kind of insists on having these weird shoulder tubes that mimic kind of a police vest look, which I'm just not a big fan of. So okay, that's the standard set so far. What does the Season 3 suit look like? And there had been some rumors. I'd heard rumors that it was going to be black and silver, which I would have been interested to see, and I think people right now are really wanting Daredevil just back in the red suit, but with the double Ds on the chest. That's the sentiment I have generally seen on social media and heard from my friends who are also Daredevil fans. Well, as for our first look at the Season 3 suit, it's proven divisive. Here it is. And yeah, it's not what the fans were asking for. And I gotta say, it does remind me quite a bit of the black armor suit, but with the colors kind of inverted and obviously removing several design elements of that design. And I know that this suit has been very divisive among Daredevil fans, because I think they just want that red suit with the double Ds on the chest. And you know what? I get it. If like the black suit Spider-Man were treated as Spidey's default suit, that would piss me off too. In this case though, I think they have done a lot more to kind of create a red suit Daredevil look here that is being really given credit. I was honestly hoping they would stick with the Season 2 suit from Born Again, maybe with just some slight tweaks, and that is more or less what we have here. Black is still the primary color, but you now have red going around the tops of the shoulders, the sides of his waist, and you might recall when I mentioned like the red bleeding through the black in Season 2 looks kind of more like a comic book look. That is a very deliberate decision here. I get the feeling they probably looked at that suit, thought, God, that does look kind of like comic book shading, doesn't it? Let's kind of replicate that. This isn't the first time the MCU has done something like this. The Spider-Man Homecoming costume had black stripes around the shoulders and forearms and wrists to kind of create that segmented shaded look from a comic and to fill out all of that red. But I do think Daredevil does need to learn the lesson that Spidey did and just kind of go back to basics and move away from the bells and whistles. But this isn't bad, and in a number of ways I'd probably say it is my favorite of the padded suits so far. For one, this looks much more confidently like comic book shading, complete with little triangular cuts going into it, which I'm surprised Marvel didn't square off given their penchant for squared shape language. You've even got little black sort of triangle thingies here where his whatever the fuck the muscles are called next to the abs. I'm not a gym bro. And I think from the front and under dynamic lighting circumstances, obviously this is a behind the scenes photo, so it's not lit the way it's supposed to be. I think this is going to be a really cool looking Daredevil suit. The perfect Daredevil suit? No, I wouldn't say so, but definitely a cool one. I really get the feeling we're going to land on like a proper red classic Daredevil suit in the final season or something. And in the meantime, I'm just enjoying these unique takes. I don't think we've ever really seen the comic shading replication done to this extent before on a live-action superhero suit. Then again, I do think it is a textbook example of Marvel putting way too much into the overall design of the suit and not enough into just like the texture. Shiny materials are generally a better way of getting that classic comic book look, but I'm game for experimentation. This is unique compared to previous Daredevil suits. I will say I'm really not fond of the red red lining on the helmet. Marvel just cannot seem to fucking help themselves. I've always thought that there's like so many unnecessary panel lines on that helmet. Now they've got red lining on it that accentuates it further, and I could understand if this like created a shape that feeds into the devil imagery, but it doesn't. Another unfortunate thing is they've kept this fucking metal thing going across his collarbone. I get the feeling they probably put that there because they want the suit to kind of hug his physique, but it just picks up the light in a really distracting way. One major improvement here, though, from the previous Daredevil Born Again suits, which makes this one probably my favorite of the Born Again suits, is that we have ditched those police vest shoulder hoops. This looks much better. It makes his arms look much bigger. The double Ds on the chest as well this time seem to be embossed. I just can't help but think the sewing looks incredibly awkward, though. Like, why would there be a seam here? Or like, what's this? What is this? Why is that there? So, the best of the padded suits is probably between this and Season 2 suit, but I won't lie, I'm leaning a bit more towards this because it doesn't have those shoulder hoops on it. But I did like how clean the Season 2 suit looked at the start of the season. But I just don't think any of these padded suits, even if they do look a bit more like comic Daredevil, are any patch on the fabric suits of the Netflix era. See, if you were to ask me how my ideal Daredevil suit would look, it'd probably be something like this. I just absolutely love home-sourced superhero costumes, and Daredevil's homemade suit had so much more aura. There's just something so impressive about the fact that he's battling without thick armor on. But the thing is, it was also kind of practical as well. A Daredevil suit would be lightweight, and I think Charlie Cox would probably appreciate it as well if he didn't have to wear all this bulk. Like, how do they survive wearing these things in, like, heat waves and stuff? I think there are times when you can do things that are different to the character's signature look or classic look that kind of communicate the character every bit as well as the classic look did. And sure, Daredevil in a red suit is probably the most common depiction of the character. People are naturally going to want to see that, and I hope they'll do that someday. And I hope it won't be a massive padded armor suit. Bring it back to the drawing board, go back to basics and keep it simple. But in the meantime, I do think it's cool that we're trying new things, new colorways, new styles. But I also hope for the fans of Daredevil, for the fans of that original red suit, that you will get a proper red suit Daredevil in the end. It's crazy because he has had plenty of red suits throughout the years. It's just most of them are fucking terrible. I'm sorry, I just think these things are really poorly designed. Overly busy, it just doesn't look good. How does that look good? It doesn't. This one here reminds me of when Bender from Futurama got the washboard abs. But I think now I'm gonna hand it over to you. What do you think of the new Daredevil suit? Do you have a favorite Daredevil suit? What the fuck is it? Comment below. Subscribe if you like this video. Like the video as well if you like the video. Could my outro be more awkward today? You know what? Dislike the video. I deserve it today. And now... And now, a special shout out to the patrons in the $5 and above tier. They are Manelza, KB, Twilo, Barton, Sirius the Skeptic, and Mr. SP. Kale Bennett aims the sun at you specifically. What the fuck, Kale Bennett? Dare Denny, Sad Goku, Ghostly Phantom, Xanderwolf, Neo Metal Pup, Council of Geeks, SSS06, RT0, Marv Animation, Grant Allen, Josh Strider, Ben Raven, Gideon Wells, Jason Wooden, Joseph Tribble, and Cho Henshin. Thank you folks so much for your generosity. And as for the rest of you, get yourself a little bite at the buffet. My channel is the buffet. Go get a plate. Come on, let's go. Let's go.